Good evening. This is Yao Yambu talking to the revolutionaries, Pan-Africanist revolutionaries, talking to progressive thinkers, talking to professional organizers, talking to the intelligent peoples of the world. 3 or 4 days ago, my nephew, Chris Norris, asked me a question. He wanted to know, why is political education important in a revolutionary mind? Why must it must be so important that we have political education? This subject here is probably a pretty long subject, and I don't have but 15 minutes, but I'm going to start my subject out with this book right here. I don't know, can you see it? It's called The Theory of Knowledge. It's by Maurice Cornforth. And just dealing with some of the philosophers in there and dealing with some of the concepts that they have and how do they apply to African people, and how do they apply to knowledge, and how do they apply to world history. I think is what we have to look at and determine about the theory of knowledge. We know a theory is only a theory until it's proven to be a scientific fact. Once it becomes a scientific fact, it's not a theory anymore. Although one can always improve upon the theory by different tactics and techniques to reach in the same destination quicker, um, or more faster, if one might be able to say. But some of the things that they had in this book on dealing with philosophy also have a lot to do with how we think of the world and things in the world, either from a correct or incorrect understanding of the theory in which we're talking about and the objective in which the theory is applied to. Now, this author has some individuals in there dealing with philosophy, said that he can see his self without a body, that mind and body are separate. They are not one and the same. They're separate. I don't agree with that whatsoever, because that's not true, simply not true. Although it's pushed in the universities, and I know that because I done did lectures in a lot of philosophy classes and ethics classes. So I know that is not true. You know, it said that your mind can leave your body and be somewhere else, you know, different from where your body is at. So I don't think so, and I'm gonna just take a few words to try to prove that this is not a fact. This theory is not a fact. Your mind cannot leave your body, not at all. I understand you go to sleep and you go somewhere and you have dreams and stuff. Some dreams you have, maybe you get tired when you woke up. You done did so much in your dream. You done went so many places. You done met so many people. But we know no matter where you went, no matter what you did, no matter what you saw, you was inside of a body. Your body was out moving around. Your mind just went somewhere and your body somewhere else. No, your body and your mind was together. Certainly so. How you gonna have a mind, a brain, without a body? It cannot happen. I know plenty of people might think that's true, but I don't care. Just think of something that you can think of things, but we said thought without action is empty, and action without thought is blind. So we know you can think of things, or you think you can think of things, but we know one thing: you can't think of nothing without knowledge of it. You cannot think of things you have no knowledge of. You cannot think of things that you are not involved in. I know there's many things that they can think of that, but they cannot think of that because they have no knowledge of it. And if you have no knowledge of it, you cannot participate in the discussion. That's clear. So this theory of knowledge have to deal with also dealing with the different culture containers of thought, of organized thought, scientific thought that different peoples in history done went through or came out of. You have a different in your theory of thought. Some things that we done did in the world as African people, the other people can't even think about doing it. Certainly so, but we know it can be redone because it's been did before. It just take geniuses like we was then to redo it. That's all. But don't think that your body and your mind are separate. You can never see a body. Well, you can see plenty of bodies don't have no mind. Certainly so. But you can't see no uh, theory without some kind of material, matter form into that. Cause why? Cause matter is primary. You can't do nothing without matter. You can think about doing anything, but if you don't have the material to do it with, it's just an empty thought. You know, anything you think of that you don't get up to try to perform or do, it's just a thought. It's just an empty thought because there's no action behind the thought. It must be action behind the thought because it's only action that verifies thought. If it ain't no action, then you ain't finna do nothing. You just sit down and say, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do that, and never get up to go do anything. It's just an empty thought. It's just a thought. And you ain't gonna tell me that your mind gonna get up and go do these things that don't need the body to go and perform the duties of that. I can't go along. I cannot buy that because I know no matter what you think about, you know, it got to be a material form. It must be a material form. It must be matter. You can't see nothing. You know, I know some people think they can think about things, but they have no idea. But they think they can think of it. They think they can think about it. They feel they can involve themselves in a discussion of it. But don't let nobody try to fool you that your mind can leave your body and it's just out there floating somewhere. You don't know where it's at. It's just out there floating somewhere. Your body just laying there. Even if you're not asleep, your body just out there. Your body might be thinking of different things to do, but it can't do nothing without a body. So your mind can go into different directions. But like I said, it's just a thought. If you don't apply no action and be able to apply action, you got to have a physical form to apply action. Must. And not only that, you must have some kind of matter to put into the form in which you are talking about producing. I believe this theory here will work. So you got to try to develop it. You got to use some tactics, some strategy to try to reach one point to another point, and then try to go farther. Uh, Prime example, the All African People Revolutionary Party had a theory that if we go to the college campuses to organize and influence the students to come into the APRP, the All African People Revolutionary Party, so when they get out of school, they can go back throughout the world, wherever they come or wherever they might go once they leave the university campus, that they will continue to push Pan-Africanism and organizing our people to speed up the process. And I think the theory was a correct theory because we can look now, we see Africans all over the world fight for Pan-Africanism, young warriors that been taught by the All African People Revolutionary Party have engaged themselves in a ideology of incrementalism to racism, or either involved in Pan-Africanism. So don't think your mind can leave your body because you have a thought path. Even in that thought path, it got to be some action of your physical. Must be. You can't do nothing without physical. It must be physical. In order for it to be physical, even energy is physical. You know, you can put your hand on a spark plug and light you up. You know, maybe so quick you won't even see the fire, but you know it's there. You know, and we also know that body and mind must coexist with each other. Body and mind must coexist with each other. But you know, the mind can think of some things that the body cannot even do. Not that it can't learn to do them, but it will only learn to do them through struggle or trying to do whatever it's trying to do. And it must be scientific in the process, must be struggling to be scientific, because it's only scientific will prove that it's correct, that the theory is a correct theory. And you can, once you find out it's a correct theory, you can do it over and over and over and over again, no doubt. But I think this thing of people think that they can think just to think, so they think they're thinking, but don't have no knowledge of that what they thinking about. Like me, for instance, I can't go and sit down in no banker conference and discuss banking, because I don't have the slightest idea where to even to start at. It was something that had to be taught to me, where I can learn it. But just to go and sit down and think, oh, I can go in there and talk to them about banking, you know, running a bank, not trying to get a loan or anything, but running a bank, dealing with the organized process of dealing with transactions. No, I can't go in there and sit down and have that discussion because I don't have no knowledge of it. We can only be involved in that we know. You know, ethically speaking, you know, they teach ethics is that you only are what you is when you are involved in the process of what you are doing. They said you can have 50 children, but if you're not there in the house taking care of them, you're not practicing the duty of a parent. You can only practice a duty of a parent when the children are there. You know, but a lot of people think that they can do something but not being involved in it. How they can do that, I don't know. So I don't know how long my 15 minutes up I'm trying to see. But this conversation, nephew, gonna go on for a while, because once we get through dealing with a little bit of the theory of knowledge, you know, the little bit I do know and understand and can see, then we must deal with historical materialism before we can go into political education and why is it necessary, why it's needed. And after that, we got to go into historical and dialectic materialism, even before we can get the understanding of why is political education is very necessary in revolutionary warfare. Because it's a good subject. I'm glad you raised it. I'm glad you asked me. That don't mean I got all the answers. Some people already listen to me and say this guy lost his mind. He crazy. But you think about what can your mind do without a physical form? Even think. It must be a matter form. Your mind must be in something. It can't just be running around in the thin air and ain't no body with it. No, anytime you think of anything or you can do or you're trying to do, you know, using your hands or whatever, you know, you must have a physical form to do this with. Your mind just can't do it, because we say you can sit there all day and say, I'm going to get up and go cut my grass, I'm going to get up and go do this or do that. But if you never rise to go get on that lawnmower to crank it up to start mowing grass, it's just an empty thought. You could have thought about something else that you're going to get up and perform. Anytime you're thinking about doing something and you don't get up and perform, it's just an empty thought. So don't think your mind can go do something without your body. Cannot. And we know a lot of bodies don't even have a mind. Somebody else is controlling their mind. We can look at the imperialist walls and see that. Africans just in the U.S. go and fight for the U.S. somewhere, thinking they're making it better for somebody else they go and fight against. Don't know anything about these people, can't even find it on a map. But they think they're going to help because the U.S. done brainwashed them enough to think that they are going to help some more people out of their misery and don't even know what kind of misery they're in. Why? Lack of what? Political education. So We must deal with this theory of knowledge. We need to deal with this theory of knowledge. And it is a theory of knowledge till you can prove it's a fact. Truth is what it is, not what one wanted it to be. You know, a lot of people tell you, if I think it, that's the truth. Oh, get out of here. How you gonna think something and make it the truth and have no scientific knowledge? You don't even have a good theory. And the theory that you have, you're not even practicing on it, so I don't know even how you'll call it a theory. If it's a theory, it's something you're trying to prove. You're constantly trying to prove it. You're looking at the good, the bad, the correct, the incorrect. You're trying to find a scientific way to prove whatever you're involved in trying to do and be able to reach the objective of it. You must continue this process of theory, working and tactics and strategy to reach that. To prove is it correct or incorrect. Then once you prove it's incorrect, then you must go with the correct. Just like people being involved and listen to people tell lies. And somebody straighten them and let them know, hey, this is a lie, and prove to them that's a lie. Are they from then on going to push the truth? Or are they going to go back and start dealing with the lie? Like the lie is the truth. Like Christmas, for instance, with Santa Claus. Tell the kids, let the kids have what you had and dealing with that and stuff, you know, but we know it's not true. But you rather go ahead and let your kid get trapped up in something that you know it ain't true, rather than telling that kid, hey, I bought you this, I figured you need it, I want you to use it for this purpose here or that purpose here, I don't want you to tear it up or destroy it. I had to work hard to come by to get this money to buy this for you, so I want you to take care of it. And I bought it for you for a specific reason, to use it for this reason or that reason. But use it. And don't think about nobody that came in our house to bring you anything. But we won't tell them the truth. And not only that, we'll tell them a European coming and bring it. You know, I mean, we can't keep doing this year after year after year. And you know it's a lie. How you going to keep pushing a lie? Well, where that theory of truth, it got what be important. It's got to be what's important, because if you can't prove your theory, it's just a theory. Once you can prove your theory, then it's the truth. Ain't nothing else. You know, so, but I don't want you to think your mind is different. And you can do something with your mind that you don't need a body to do. I don't care if it's somebody else's body. Because many of us is following a European's way of life in our body. It's not our thought, it's not our way of life, it's not our concept, it's not our theory, it's not our philosophy, it's not our ethics. But we're following somebody else's stuff, and they're not even correcting their own stuff. And their stuff might not even fit our stuff. Just like our thing won't fit their thing because of the two different cultural containers that we came out of the belief system. Out of the system of belief. It's totally different than European belief system. So we have to understand that we must analyze everything. Everything in our existence that affects us, and everything up under the sun affects us, whether we conscious of it or not conscious of it, it affects us. So that's why people always hunt for scientific knowledge. Always hunt for scientific knowledge. Prove what they saying by facts, not by just saying it and say, because I said it, then it's true. I don't know why anyone would say something like that. That's sound like someone that is against their people. If you don't know, say, hey, let's try to figure it out. Even if somebody asks you a question, you might not have the answer, but we're struggling to try to find an answer. Don't just say, I don't know, leave it alone, you know, and it's very important, especially to the African Revolution. We must try to find out. You know, for instance, like going on with this coronavirus. And then we deal with it because all the African brothers and sisters have been murdered by this imperialist, murderous, racist system. And then we overlook that 467 sisters died from childbirth The sisters die from childbirth. We say 66.6% of our children die from childbirth every year in this country. Out of 100,000, out of 1,000 births, that's how many die. That's over half. That's over half. What about that murder? We must come to understand we must become politically educated to understand what's going on with us in the world. What have went down with us in the world. We must. But we don't want to be around here talking nothing that you can't prove. Stop saying it. Once you find out that red man is not a savage, then you need to stop trying to call him one. Because after the European want to look down upon him and then brainwash you to call him that, and then you got a body, but they ain't control the body. Somebody else controlling your body through their mind, through their way of life, through their philosophy, through their ethics. We can't follow those people. That is not our. That is not our. Not our. I used to go to Dr. Robert Myers philosophy class and do lectures all the time. All the time he would let me in here to this class. They deal with philosophy. They deal with ethics. From an African perspective. Now we must understand that the perspectives are different. We have two different lives. So our theory of knowledge got to be different. That ain't got nothing to do with science. Science, if you can do it, I can do it. That's science. But don't think just because we can do something scientifically and come out to the same objective, the same purpose, that don't mean our history is the same and how we need to apply it or gonna apply it to something. Because we have to study our history and see where we fit into history. I'm gonna stop now until tomorrow. Nephew, I hope I said something to try to make a little bit of sense. But I'm gonna finally get to the point in a few days on why political education is so extreme. Why is it so necessary? We know every system have a political system, and we have to examine that political system. In order to be able to analyze that political system, then you must have a political system that you are trying to put in to replace that political system. So we must know and understand why is political education so important to the African masses. So we'll stop following a whole lot of this stuff that these European philosophers been saying, like Descartes, saying he can see himself as a cow with a tail. What nonsense. He ain't no cow. He can't see himself as a cow with a tail or without a tail, because he's not a cow. You can't talk about I see myself as this, I see myself as that. You can't see yourself as that. You can only see yourself as what you are, whatever that might be. So, be back tomorrow, talk a little bit more about the subject of the necessity of political education. Thank you, nephew. Thank everybody that had the opportunity to take a little time to listen to what I had to say. And I'll see y'all Africans tomorrow. Forward with the African Revolution.